Have you ever had a memory of something so strong that you swear it to be true? What happens when hundreds or even thousands of other people share the same memory, only to discover that it never actually happened? Here are the 10 freakiest examples of the Mandela effect. Number 10 is Nelson Mandela. The Mandela effect is named after Nelson Mandela, a revolutionary South African politician who was born on July 18, 1918 in the village of Maviso in the Cape Province. Known for his non-violent protests, Mandela was arrested on August 5, 1962 and served over 27 years in prison for conspiring to overthrow the state. Released in 1990, he became the first president of South Africa, elected serving only one term before stepping down to focus on fighting HIV/AIDS and poverty in 1994. That fight continued until he passed away on December 5th, 2013. But is that what you remember? If you're like many people, you may recall stories of Mandela dying while still in prison in the 1980s, while others believe that the year of his death was 1991. But if that were the case, how could he have become president? This is merely one example of how alternate universes may have collided or even merged with our own. Number 9 is Hello, Clarice. When The Silence of the Lambs was released on February 13, 1991, it showed the world just how far into the mind Anthony Hopkins' performances could reach to truly make us anxiously scared. The film went on to win 5 Academy Awards, including Best Actor for Hopkins, Best Actress for Jodie Foster, and Best Picture. As with a film so terrific and beloved, it's no wonder people would want to quote it all the time. The problem is that many people are using a line that was simply never spoken by the violent psychopath even once in the film. That line, "Hello, Clarice," in a dark, creepy tone, is now synonymous with The Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal Lecter, but he never actually said it. In the film, when the two main characters first meet, Lecter does greet the FBI cadet by saying, "Good evening, Clarice." But the quote people have been using to freak people out for over 26 years never actually happened. How can this be the case when so many people have used this line for almost 3 decades? Number 8 is Uncle Pennybags. If I were to ask you to describe the wealthy property-owning Monopoly guy, better known as Rich Uncle Pennybags from the Hasbro and Parker Brothers game Monopoly, what would you say? You might say he's old or he wears a tuxedo. However, if your description includes a monocle on one eye, you may be living in an alternate reality. That's because despite what many will claim is a change to his appearance, Uncle Pennybags never wore a monocle. Though it was released back in 1903, Monopoly didn't get their mascot until the Chance and Community chess cards were added with his image in 1936. He was designed by artist Dan Fox, who modeled him after J.P. Morgan, an American financier and banker, who wore spectacles, but alas, no monocle. As you think of him yourself right now, you likely picture him with a monocle. So how can it be that you and literally millions of others are wrong? Number 7 is A Curious Tale. When it comes to kids' books about troublemaking monkeys, few are anywhere near as popular as the one and only Curious George. Created by Hans Augusto Rey and Margaret Rey, George was first introduced in 1939 in the French children's book Cecily G. and the 9 Monkeys. It wasn't until 1941 that he got his own book, appropriately titled Curious George. 6 more books were published about the mischievous monkey and are a staple in children's literature. But if you were to ask someone to describe Curious George, all too often they would add a body part to the little guy that simply doesn't exist. a tail. That's right, despite what your mind could be telling you, Curious George absolutely does not have a tail and never has. Not in any of his books or even in the first book he ever appeared in. George has been referred to as a chimp, which don't have a tail anyway, but that hasn't stopped people from swearing that they've seen him with one. Think back into your own memory. Does Curious George have a tail or not? Number 6 is Mona Lisa's smile. Painted by Leonardo da Vinci in 1503, the Mona Lisa is widely considered today to be the most famous painting on the planet. With eyes that seem to follow you, staring into yours no matter where you stand in the room, the Italian Renaissance artist's masterpiece portrays Lisa del Giocondo, an Italian mother of 5 children, which da Vinci painted due to not having any income. But when you think of this beautiful half-length portrait, what expression do you remember her having? Like many others, you may think of her being totally serious, staring calmly yet intensely at you, but if that's the case, I feel obligated to inform you that you, like millions of others, are mistaken. Yes, despite the picture that you may have in your head, the Mona Lisa is actually smirking. Many people have come forward claiming that the famous portrait has been altered, but historical photos confirm that she's always been smiling. Number 5 is I Am Your Father. Close your eyes and take yourself back to Cloud City in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke Skywalker just lost his hand to the evil Sith leader Darth Vader. As he holds where his hand was, the young Jedi in training listens as the Dark Lord bellows, "Luke, I am your father." Now open your eyes and hear that, in fact, he actually never said that. This line is synonymous with Star Wars and is one of the biggest movie twists of all time, but the dialogue simply doesn't play out that way. The biggest fans of the franchise, or simply those who watch it again, will reveal to you that Vader actually responds to Luke's cries that Darth Vader killed his father by saying, "No, I am your father." Hundreds of films and TV shows have misquoted that epic reveal for decades since the Empire's release on May 17, 1980, but many people believe that the line has been changed along with reality itself. The question is, how do you remember the line? Number 4 is Jiffy. Many people remember going back to when they were a child having peanut butter and jelly, using Jiffy peanut butter. However, that product never existed. That's right, for all of you who truly thought Jiffy was a real thing, it's either a figment of your collective imaginations, or it's only on shelves in another universe. While Jiffy isn't and never has been a real product, Jif peanut butter was and still is today. Many people remember when Jif was first marketed that it was called Jiffy, and that's what led to the mistaken name in so many minds. However, when Jif was founded in 1958 in Lexington, Kentucky by Procter & Gamble, it was called just that, Jif. According to J.M. Smucker, the company that currently owns the brand, the name Jif was chosen due to it being easy to say, spell, and remember, and it's the only name the peanut butter has ever gone by. Number 3 is Shazam Kazam. If you're looking for laughs and a dash of magic, then look no further than the great 90s kids movie Shazam, about a genie with attitude and his new preteen master, starring none other than Sinbad. Many people from around the world remember this classic movie, and you may be one of them. However, what if I told you that there never was a movie called Shazam, and it never starred Sinbad? The movie people are likely thinking about when they claim this film absolutely existed is the 1996 box office flop Kazam, starring NBA legend and guy who's way too tall for most rooms, Shaquille O'Neal. That's right, Shaquille O'Neal was the genie, not Sinbad, who seemed to appear in most of the other children's movies around 1996. To this day, there are entire forums dedicated online to the fact that the movie was called Shazam and it starred Sinbad. How can thousands upon thousands be wrong when it never existed? Number 2 is the magic mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? It's one of the most famous lines ever uttered by a movie villain. And it never happened. Premiering at the Carthay Circle Theater on December 21st, 1937, Walt Disney's first animated feature, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, was a masterpiece out of the gate, drawing a standing ovation from even the harshest critics who initially said Disney wouldn't complete such a huge undertaking. As many people remember, in the film, when the evil queen looks into the mirror, she says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." Except that she doesn't. What she actually says is "magic mirror on the wall." A potential reason for this is in the original Brothers Grimm story, she does say "mirror, mirror," but that hasn't stopped a huge number of people from claiming that they remember her saying it in the movie. And number 1 is the Berenstain Bears. That's right, I said Berenstain, not Berenstein. Remember that family of 4 bears that taught you right from wrong and how to deal with bullies and parties when you were barely old enough to read? You know, Mama, Papa, Brother, and Sister Bear? You likely remember them as the Berenstain Bears, right? Wrong. Though a great number of you will disagree wholeheartedly with this, they have always been called the Berenstain Bears. Dubbed by editor Theodore Geisel, also known as Dr. Seuss, the family is named after their creators, Stan and Jan Berenstain. The book series began hitting shelves in 1962, with the first installment, The Big Honey Hunt. Stan and Jan Berenstain continued to write stories about the Bear family right up until their deaths. Today, the series continues with their son Michael Berenstain as their author, without a change in how the family's last name is spelled. That's right, the name that you remember vividly from your childhood never existed. But that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. On the right, you'll find 2 of my most recent videos that you can press or click on your screen right now if you'd like to watch some more. And other than that, I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.